Welcome to Crack-A-Pack. My name is Andrew. Today we're cracking open Innistrad Crimson Vow. Let's get cracking. Our first card today is a wild card. Then we have Chandra Dressed to Kill emblem. We have a foil Reckless Impulse. Our land is an island. Then we have Avabruck Caretaker, which transforms into Hollowhenge Huntmaster. And Avabruck Caretaker for 4 green is a 4/4 with hexproof. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. It is daybound. And if a player casts no spells on their turn, it becomes night. And you get the Hollowhenge Huntmaster, which is a 6/6 with hexproof. It reads other permanents you control have hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. And it is nightbound, so if a player casts at least 2 spells during their own turn, it becomes day on the next turn. So this is a very hard to interact with creature since it is hexproof. It can't be targeted by anything from your opponent. And then it just starts throwing +1/+1 counters around to every creature you control at the beginning of combat. And when it's night, it makes everything on your board harder to interact with because they all get hexproof. And then it still puts all the counters out. This is interesting. I don't like daybound, nightbound. At least not this version of it. In previous iterations of Innistrad, previous visits, the daybound, nightbound was a per card basis, whereas this is a across the board. So everyone has to interact with it instead of just one person. And that can be a hassle, but that aside, this is a really powerful creature since 1, it is hard to interact with, and 2, it wants you to go wide, and then it really pays off for going wide with all of the counters that it throws on every creature at the beginning of every one of your combats. And then on the backside, giving all of your creatures hexproof as well is just bonkers. It makes your board incredibly difficult to interact with. So you want to do anything you can to keep it night so that you get a Hollowhenge Huntmaster and have a very hard to interact with board. Am I going to rush to put this somewhere? Probably not, just because it's daybound, nightbound. But I might try to throw it somewhere where I'm already dealing with it, because if I already have it, then this is going to just make the creatures in that deck better. If you have a deck that uses Avabruck Caretaker / Hollowhenge Huntmaster, let me know in the comments below. I'd like to hear your stories about how big your wide board states have gotten. Next we have Arm the Cathars, Geistlight Snare, Runebound Wolf, Weaver of Blossoms, which transforms into Blossom-clad Werewolf, Sheltering Boughs, a Showcase Voldaren Epicure, Estwald Shield Basher, Daybreak Combatants, Wretched Throng, Flame Blessed Bolt, Pointed Discussion, and Dreadlight Monstrosity to round out the pack. Now, today's Pack 1 Pick 1. It is going to be Avabruck Caretaker. Like I was saying when we were going through the pack, yes, it is daybound, nightbound, which is kind of not the best implementation of that mechanic, but since this would be draft, it's all within this set where there was a lot of daybound, nightbound, so it's not as much of a bother to me. And instead, you get this huge payoff of a creature that is going to reward you for going wide, having lots of other creatures, and can even give those creatures some protection if you're able to keep it around and go Nightbound. Because then everything on your board, every permanent, is hexproof. That's all of your creatures, your enchantments, your lands, everything is hexproof. And it's still giving all of your creatures this big +2/+2 pump every combat. Every one of your combats, I should say. So this is just saying, like, hey, you want creatures, lots and lots of creatures. And maybe a way to keep it night, if you can. There are some cards that just say it becomes night. Those might be a good pick to take when you have drafted Ephebrock Caretaker. There are other good cards in this pack, though, so if you have a different pick one than me, let me know in the comments below. But that's all for today, so thank you for cracking along with me. Be sure to check back tomorrow to crack open another pack.